Good morning. We have already lost 15 minutes, and I somehow don't like to waste time. But Dr. Yubraj Sangroula, I'm told, is on his way. Therefore, I think Dr. Liang should begin the session. He is Vice Director of Nepal Study Center at the Institute of South Asian Studies, Sichuan University, China. He did his PhD on government of Nepal with a focus on Tarai, and currently been focusing his research on bilateral and multilateral cooperation between China and South Asian countries. He has published dozens of research articles, policy briefs, recommendations. He has frequently been cited as Nepal expert in various newspapers. It is my pleasure to be chairing this session. I agreed to participate in this session, especially at the request of former Prime Minister Jalnath Khanal. I am thankful to the organizers. I request Dr. Gao to start, make his presentation. Well, one correction. Dr. Yubraj Sangroula is already here. So let us start with him. He needs 1 more minute, okay. But in the meantime, I'll introduce him. A good friend, Dr. Yubraj. We have been in many fronts joining hands. He is senior advocate and professor at Kathmandu School of Law. He earned his PhD from Delhi University in 2007. He was convener of high-level task force for the security agency reform, and he also served as Attorney General of Nepal. Dr. Sangroula has been engaged in research on the areas of development, economics, and geoeconomics. His book, South Asia and China Geoeconomics, which includes an extensive discussion on BRI in Nepal, is one of the best-selling publications. Unfortunately, I have not read that. I will have to read it. Dr. Sangroula is a visiting professor at universities in China and South Asia. His presentation will be on the topic, challenges and opportunities in the implementation of BRI in Nepal. I thought this is MCC session. In any case, it's your floor. Please go ahead.
Honorable former Prime Minister Jalnath Khanal, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister Bhim Rawal, सबै अन्य साथीहरु. So my topic is MCC inconsistencies that may unleash irreconcilable controversies. अर्थात् त्यस्ता इन्कन्सिस्टेन्सीजहरु जसले त्यो समाधान गर्न नसक्ने खालको कन्ट्रोभर्सीहरु क्रिएट गर्छ र त्यसमा केही लिगल पनि छन् र केही लिगल सँग जोडिएका पोलिटिकल इश्यूजहरु पनि हुन सक्छन्. चलेन त भाइ? So, what is very important that we should notice regarding MCC is a geopolitical context, because when we signed the first agreement in 2017, already Nepal's geopolitical context had been very hot and very active. So what I have said is like geopolitical context, rapidly unfolding changes in Nepal geopolitics. However, Nepal is falling under trap of global geopolitical context. I think I should not explain it a lot. Reason, what we see is like in the past, Nepal maintained a status quo because we were dealing with two countries, basically, China and India, and before, particularly 1990, the economy of both countries was very sluggish, very underdeveloped, and since their economy was not very profound and very influential, they stood as developing countries without much influence in international affairs, and therefore we were dealing two countries with less power, less influence in international community. And therefore, conventionally, we were able to do it. So often say that, people say that Nepal was very successful in those days in balancing the international relation and geopolitics, international affairs, all this kind of thing. But that was not because Nepal's high-level success, but the contester in Nepal's geopolitics, our two neighbors were not highly influential, therefore it was easy for us. But what happened is that status quo basically formed by comparatively less economic development of neighbors. Now, both these countries have reached to the level where economy has become a very important segment of their development, and both in international politics have been very crucial, particularly China becoming one of the most powerful country economically, crossing to the level of first economy of the world, and India also, though staggeringly, it is marching. Its people are still poor, but the nation itself is becoming very rich, and therefore their political and military power is also very high, and they have been leading Global South today, which is generating another kind of Cold War. So in that situation, they change and their approach changed in international diplomacy. But we remain sluggish, we are left behind, and our approach to international diplomacy is nothing but same that we practiced almost 30 years before. So it is because of that the situation is very, very crucial at this point. And therefore, Nepal's geopolitics should be viewed when we try to understand MCC and its impact, and the even lesson that we are trying to learn cannot be isolated from the geopolitical reality, because the truth should be looked into the fact. So this is the situation. So what we often discuss, and yesterday even in the plenary session, we were talking about like it's a financial project and it's a money matter. America, China, India, all are very good friends, all these kind of things. Yes, but then what geopolitical context that we stand today is not the geopolitical stand that we stood in the past. In the past, it was passive and it was cool, but now the geopolitics is very hot and very active. Every day, situation changes. Just for take example, the debate between Nepalese people today, we still do not know what exactly is the situation, but the agreement between China and India regarding Limpiadhura has been a big hot issue of debate among the people. So this kind of things is there, which did not happen in the past. So one very important precondition that we have to think about is this geopolitical context and the reality. So it's a little bit difficult for me to, can I have another mic so I can go over there? You send me here, okay? No problem. So, what I therefore had said is like, a new world order is rapidly emerging in this context. China has already emerged as the second most richest economy with high potential of uplifting into the first economy of the world. China is a hub of global supply chain and rapidly transforming its productive capacity into a leading technology technology leader of the world. Though sluggishly, India emerging another economic powerhouse. So, however, Nepal is left behind, is a situation we are not able to deal with. Its economy is sluggish, political instability is rampant, democracy has been failing, and accountability of political forces dwindled. So in this situation, on the one hand, we have a very tough geopolitical situation. On the other hand, we lost our vigor in international diplomacy, economy, and politics as well. So what is the situation? Nepal's today is that economy is not functioning well. It is dependent on import. We do not produce anything. Even rice that we eat in this hotel that we import from India. And political parties' accountability, nobody is very much sincere. And they have not been talking about, like I said yesterday, what MCC basically taken by most of the political parties, that it is another form of international assistance or aid, but this aids our addiction to foreign aid. To दुर्व्यसन हुन्छ नि, दुर्व्यसन लागेको मान्छेले त्यो पाएन भने जिउ दुख्छ, त्यसलाई डिटक्सिफाई गर्न पनि 2 महिना 3 महिना राख्नुपर्छ। तर अहिले नेपालको पोलिटिकल फोर्सेसहरुमा यस्तो स्थिति भइसक्यो कि यो फरेन एड आज केही हदसम्म आएन भने त्यो कर्मचारी तन्त्र र पोलिटिकल त्यो जुन छ त्यसलाई निन्द्रा लाग्दैन। भनेपछि यस्तो एडिक्सन भइसक्यो, मागेरै खानु, मागेरै ल्याऊ, मागेरै विकास गरौँ भन्ने जुन कन्सेप्ट छ, एकातिर त्यो कन्सेप्ट छ, अर्कोतिर हामीले एड्रेस गर्नुपर्ने हाम्रा छिमेकीहरूको हालत चाहिँ दे आर भेरी पावरफुल नाउ। सो नेपाल नीड टु ट्रान्सफर्म इट्स जियोपोलिटिक्स इन्टु जियो इकोनोमिक्स। मैले भन्दै आएको कुरो पहिलेदेखि के हो भन्दाखेरि यो जियोपोलिटिक्सलाई जबसम्म जियो इकोनोमिक्समा कन्भर्ट गर्न सकिँदैन नेपालको डेभलपमेन्ट सम्भव छैन। र मेरो एउटै के न्यारेटिभ त्यसमा के हो भने MCC is not going to transform Nepal's geopolitics into geoeconomics. So this is a theory that I discuss. So I have written a big book, probably some of you have already heard it. So question is, whether MCC and BRI both are important for Nepal or not is not a question. Oh, they are very important financial sources. No, that's wrong. What is important is like, do they transform our geopolitics into geoeconomics? Yes or no is a very important. BRI being supported and being launched by China, and we have a big trade with it, the potentiality is higher, that is what we have to understand. So therefore, the political position after 1990 saw hurdles, and 2006 actually power rivalry situation. So before 1990, position was very, after 1990, the position became very hazardous, and actually that created a lot of hurdles in Nepal's development and diplomacy. But after 2006, it became almost a very chaotic, because the rivalry, because of the economic rise of the international forces has become a very serious one. So we have to, यस अर्थमा हामीले हेर्ने के हो भन्दाखेरि 2046 देखि 2063 सम्म हडल्सहरु थिए हाम्रो यो डिप्लोमेसीमा, तर 2006 पछि हामीले राइभल फोर्सेसहरूलाई डिल गर्नुपर्ने स्थिति आएको छ र आज अमेरिका र चाइना एउटा राइभल पोजिसनमा छन् र त्यो दुईटा राइभल्सहरूलाई मेन्टेन गर्नुपर्ने सिचुएसनमा हामी आइपुगेका छौँ त्यसैले दिस इज भेरी डिफिकल्ट सो आई हेभ एक्सप्लेन इट मोर बट नो एमसिसी can be properly analyzed and understood without this new situation in full grasp. जबसम्म यो अवस्थालाई पूर्ण रूपमा ग्रहण गर्न सकिँदैन एमसिसी ठिक कि बेठिक भनेर गफ गर्नु ठिक छैन भन्ने मेरो भनाइ हो त्यसकारण दोस्रो न्यारेटिभ के भने एमसिसी को बारेमा सोच्दा हामीले यो सिचुएसनलाई क्यानभासमा राखेर हेर्नुपर्छ अनि मात्रै हामी एमसिसी के हो भनेर बुझ्न सक्छौँ भन्ने मेरो यो तेस्रो भनाइ हो सो new shift in global power dynamics made Nepal's situation vulnerable to be abused. Nepal saw play of the four dynamics in its geopolitics. So today we are languished in a geopolitics, the four dynamics. What are these four dynamics? Let's see. China, if we see China, it's one of the current of dynamics. What we see is like Nepal's development would be a boon for its security, hence it should volunteer to steer Nepal's economic right. What China thinks is that China's security also depends on Nepal's situation. So if Nepal remains in this kind of unstable situation, China's security would also be threatened. Therefore, China wants Nepal to be rapidly developed. Therefore, China is offering support. So this is one. But what India thinks? India thinks developed Nepal would be a challenge to the security of India. So that's another dynamic. So China and India, therefore, are different in dynamics in relation to Nepal's geopolitics. And what America, Nepal must develop, but it should be under American influence, is the theory. America does not have problem with Nepal's development, but what should it have? It should have Nepal's development under its control. Therefore, MCC is one of the most important instruments to control Nepal's diplomacy and Nepal's economic development. And what Russia is also one very important factor in Nepal's diplomacy today is that USA may harm Indo-Russian collaboration and conventional relationship. India and Russia have a very long conventional relation. But if America becomes very powerful in Nepal, it has a direct impact on Russia and India's relation. Therefore, Americans are active not only against China, but Americans are also very active against India-Russia relation. Therefore, these four dynamics: one, supportive to development; another, also supportive to development, but under its control and under its full influence. Therefore, it wants to define our democracy and everything. So Russia, particularly concerned with India-Russia relation, so it's very important and very powerful appearance in Nepal has less to do with Nepal's development, so it is indifferent. But India thinks if Nepal develops and becomes a very important country, then it believes that Nepal will depart from conventional relationship with India. Is what are these dynamics? And if these dynamics are not very clearly understood, we fail. So Nepal was weak to balance these dynamics. So in the past, Nepal has a very weak situation to balance these dynamics. So it's not only a balance between China and India now, but Nepal has to balance its relations with four countries. And Nepal was very habitual to maintain its balance with the two countries, but now we have four powers. Okay? So let me give an example. दुईवटा गोरु जोत्न बानी परेको हलीलाई चारवटा गोरु नारेर जोत्नु पर्यो भने बडा गाह्रो हुन्छ. So this is Nepal's situation today. It is very simple theory. If we do not understand, we fail to maintain relations with other countries. So that's very important. So my narrative therefore is like, though MCC is a grant, its impact should be tested against the paradigm shift of geopolitics, but the political parties in power fail to reflect on this reality. It's today's reality. So what happened in the parliament that time? This is the situation. This was the region. So they thought that MCC is a grant. Yes, this is a grant, but this grant comes under the geopolitical paradigm and American foreign policy strategy. So we have to look into this. This is my another. So what is very interesting, see, now talking about geopolitics, another factor says, what is the situation of Nepal? External debt, almost 8,000 million US dollar, and 20% of our GDP is contributed by this international debt. And what is the debt situation that you can see, not very properly, but this blue one is Western debt. This green one is the Western debt. Of what? 30% goes to ADB and rest other Western development agencies, including World Bank, which is actually a bank of United States. And then remaining total is 80%, okay? 80% debt trap today Nepal lives with is the Western debt. So now, if you look on MCC against that debt trap, can you survive? Is a question. Because if you fail to abide by what the World Bank said, then your projects are affected. Your politics is affected. What IMF said. So in this situation, MCC is another powerful instrument which is bringing politics and foreign policy strategy. So already we are in a trap of economic hurdles because we cannot go beyond this trap. Recently you heard like World Bank raised the interest rate from 0.57 to 1.50%. So how much debt service that we will be paying next year? It's almost $1.5 billion US dollar. Now it is 40. It is अहिले 40 अर्ब छ. अर्को वर्ष हामीले त्यसलाई 3 मा बढाउँ कति हुन्छ? So this situation. And what is India's stake in it? 2%. And what is China's stake? It is 1.90. तर बाहिर हामीले बुझेको न्यारेटिभ्स के छ? बाहिर हल्ला के छ? नेपाल चाइनाको डेट ट्र्यापमा छ, जसको 1.90% छ. Only 1.90%, त्यो पनि एक्जिम ब्याङ्क. Most of the assistance is coming in the form of grants from China. And even India, most of the support from India is coming, it's grants. Only 2% is loan. But with 80% financial debt from Western countries with MCC is a threat to national security, or BRI with 1.90% debt is a threat to Nepal security. So it's a common, it's very common for people to understand. But we people, Nepalese people, generally believe on rhetorics but not on fact. This is a fact. So the foreign debt is a base of Nepalese economy. Nation has culture of taking loan and ignore national production. Is the MCC a need for building, or it is an outcome of foreign aid addiction? So, is MCC an instrument to...
Excuse me, Yubraj. No, it says 20 minutes and you have already used 20 minutes.
Sure,
I will give you 1 more minute to wrap up.
I will conclude about it. So the question is like, where do we go? Is a question. So you can take it, some very important issues are there. But what I said, I already said, most importantly, so last my 2 points of conclusion, I will read it to you. So, MCC is a tool of American foreign policy and therefore guided by the American Foreign Assistance Act 1961. and also guided by another act called International Peace and Development. So what this act says is that American interests should be served. Therefore, in the agreement, what we have inserted is American interest, American policy, and American law should be abided by is in the agreement. And what is International Peace and Development Act says is that the foreign assistance of America should always target and should always focus on containing communism and, if possible, to eliminate. So MCC, China, Nepal's communist parties, and though not very prosperous rule, we have to look all these kind of things from this perspective. So MCC is more concerned with 1961 Foreign Assistance Act and Development and Peace Act rather than MCC Act itself. So we have to deal it in a different way. So that is my take. So with these, I'm very apologize for 1 minute more because this was very important to talk about. Thank you very much.